Welcome back. And this is the Vegas Take Sharpens. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. That was in the testimony yesterday. Your son Barron, don't make him a Baron. I thought that was a little bit inappropriate. But anyway, moving on to politics and sports, how they transcend. And if you recall, it was years ago where Rush Limbaugh was I guess you could call him a sports NFL analyst on ESPN, and he was making it was the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback back in the day, and I'm forgetting his name for whatever reason, but Rush Limbaugh said some disparaging things about him, and he made some disparaging.
No, Donovan McNabb.
Yes, it was Donovan McNabb. Yeah. Thank you. And he was making generalizations about African-American quarterbacks. There's a reason why there's not that many African-Americans that are quarterbacks in the NFL, and he was talking about intelligence and IQ. They were just absurd remarks, and I was glad that ESPN decided to fire that fatso. I think he's still doing fine for himself, but I mean, they were
he definitely makes $80 million a year.
They were blatantly
without endorsements.
They were blatantly racist comments. You can't say something dumb like that. It was just blatantly racist. So now we have a 49ers analyst. His name is Tim Ryan. So he goes on his show, and here's what he said in regards to Lamar Jackson. Have a listen to this.
When his dark skin color, with a dark football, with a dark uniform, you could not see that thing. I mean, you literally could not see when he was in and out of the mesh point, and and that's going to mean, and you're a half step slow on.
Okay, Tim, you are a complete moron. Okay, that is a racist statement. Have you ever heard an analyst talk about baseball and about hiding the baseball, and it's tough to see the baseball because the pitcher is white? That's just a dumb thing to say, okay? There's a reason why Lamar Jackson is so successful, and he's having such
a lot of pitchers do that on purpose, Brian.
Yeah, but
in their delivery, like Zach Greinke, for example.
But
who is
stop
Caucasian.
It with the skin color. It doesn't make any sense.
He's known to hide his delivery point, and it makes it harder to find his pitches.
So what are you trying to say? You're saying that you've heard an African-American say he does a really good job hiding the baseball because he's white?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that does happen in baseball all the time.
It happens in football. People hide the ball.
It happens on purpose. There's a reason for it.
People hide the ball. Why do we have to talk about the color of their skin?
It's part of game planning. And actually, I don't.
So you think that's why Lamar Jackson is having why he's having such success because he's black?
Of course not. I think he's successful because he's an outstanding athlete. He's also a very, very cerebral quarterback who wants to be a quarterback first, but when he has to run, he chooses to run.
And he hides the football. I get it, but why do we have to talk about his race? It's stupid.
But I do agree that if you have a purple jersey and dark skin and a football, it's going to be hard to decipher.
So you're defending his comments.
I'm just saying it's relatively factual, I think. So it would be harder to see.
But it sounds like you're defending his comments.
I'm not defending his comments. I'm just saying there's some fact to it.
So you think when we talk about Lamar Jackson,
but I don't think that's any like relatively decent sized percentage as to why he's a successful quarterback.
So why bring it up then? That's what we're talking about. This guy's an analyst. He's analyzing Lamar Jackson, and he brings up the fact that because he's black, he hides the football because he's black. It's a stupid thing to say.
He was trying to make an excuse as to why they lost that game against the Ravens.
Well, I don't care. You can make an excuse without saying something racist. Listen, we'll take some calls on this. Maybe you agree with JD. Maybe you don't think it's racist. Why on earth would you bring up the color of one's skin and say, well, it's really difficult to see the football because he's black? That's absurd. Let me give up the phone line.
I'm not saying it's really difficult, but I do believe that it's probably a little more difficult because of the color combination with the jersey and his skin color.
First of all,
and the football
that's
itself.
Never even entered my mind. The fact that he would enter somebody's mind and they would say it on the radio is ridiculous.
It's not something I would think about at all.
It's ridiculous.
Obviously, I think that he's successful because he runs a 4.32 40. He is extremely intelligent.
It's got nothing to do with the color of his skin.
He has great moves in the pocket. I mean, he's very, very accurate.
We agree on that.
I mean, yes. He wants to win. He's very, very passionate. He's probably a generational talent.
Let me open up the phone lines on this. What do you guys think? Do you think that this radio analyst Tim Ryan, who I think is a moron, who said something racist and he deserved to be suspended, he should be lucky he has a job? Do you agree with me? Do you think it was racist to talk about Lamar Jackson and say, well, difficult to find the football when he's running with the ball because he's black? Or do you kind of agree with JD a little bit in that, well, there's some truth to it, and what he said is just fine? Give us a call, 257-5396. Again, the number to call if you want to be a part of this discussion. I'm interested what you guys think out there. 702-257-5396. Why don't we start off with James? James, thanks for calling in. What do you think about this?
Hey, what's up, James?
Hey, what's going on? That's, great topic here. I, love the radio show. I always cringe anytime I hear someone say, you can't say that. And it makes me, someone who wouldn't say that, stand up for someone who says that. As someone who isn't white, I hate when people say, "Don't say that."
Well, can I ask you something, James? Go ahead. I respect your opinion. You can say it. Maybe, but here's the thing. You have to be able to deal with the repercussions in the workplace on a radio show or TV if you do say something like that. Look, you could go on the sidewalk and say whatever you want, but if you're going to talk about Lamar Jackson and the fact that he's black and that's why it's more difficult for people to find the football, I think you have to be able to deal with the repercussions of it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I completely understand what you're saying, but from my point of view, I mean, we live in a society where words are almost equivalent to physical action. That what you said physically harmed me emotionally, and I feel like people just really need to grow up. I think you can say whatever you want to me, and I've been called every name in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any problem with you. You know, I would rather you say that and be honest with me, and I would actually respect you more than to be one of these people who you feel like is always just...
Well, I agree. James, listen, I agree with you. And by the way, thank you for the phone call. It's kind of like that back east mentality, and this is where I agree with you. People in New York or in Connecticut, where I grew up, they're kind of in your face. I'm going to say whatever I want
all the time,
and you're going to have to deal with it. But this is who I am. Take it or leave it.
And that's Donald Trump.
And then there's I'm not talking. I don't want to talk about Donald Trump now, but because then you're going to get me angry.
No, but that's him.
But people on the West Coast, and again, I'm generalizing here, but I think the attitude on the West Coast is a little bit more phony. I think people are afraid to actually be who they are and say who they are.
Well, I think they like to make themselves victims and profit or get something out of it, or hurt someone else in the process. And I think that's total BS.
Here's where I agree with that caller. Yes, I would rather have somebody say who they are and be honest. I can't tell you how many members of the media in this town alone have said something nice to my face or have always been nice to me, and then I heard they're trashing me. You know what? That happened to me at a Knights game. I'll tell this story real quick. You want to talk about phony people? There were several people at a Knights game that were telling one of the people, I was at another station at the time, that were telling members of the media that I didn't deserve a credential. And the reason why I didn't deserve a credential, because I wasn't on 15 hours a week. I wasn't on every day several years back. I addressed all those people. I confronted all those people. And people that are phony, that are nice to your face and do stuff like that, are very insecure with their own lives. 257-5396. We're talking about 49ers suspending radio analyst Tim Ryan for the Lamar Jackson comments. Those comments where he said Lamar Jackson is black, and that's why it makes it more difficult for people to see the football when he's running with the football. Taking your calls. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Hey, man. How you doing, man? Hey,
Good.
JD, sometimes I don't know about you, man. You try to come off as irrational. But, man, I tell you, man, I'm concerned about you. But in the meantime,
So am I.
the football is no way near the color of the man's skin.
Even if it was, Mike.
No, and again, Mike, I'm not. Here's the issue with what this guy is trying to. He's trying to diminish Lamar Jackson's ability and say, "Oh, here's the reason why we lost this game is because of this." I'm just saying there is a little bit of truth to the fact that having a black jersey and dark skin and we'll call it a burgundy football would be it's kind of a camouflage effect. But I'm not diminishing Lamar Jackson's ability, and I'm not making an excuse as to why they lost. That's what that guy is doing.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Tim Ryan, he actually thought about that before he made that statement. And it's just silly, man.
Unnecessary is the word I would use, and borderline racist.
I don't want to go as far as say racist, but I'm saying the fact that he actually had to think about that and before he actually made the statement, it's just...
If an African-American, Mike, I agree with you. If an African-American and for example, and by the way, thank you for the call, Mike. Always
good call, Mike.
Always good to hear from you. If Stephen A. Smith went on the air and said, boy, back in the day, I don't know, I'm just thinking of a pitcher. That Curt Schilling, the only reason, the reason why he's so successful in hiding the baseball is because he's so white. I would find that to be racist. That's why I find this comment racist.
Or if Donald Trump was crossing somebody over and considering how orange he is with the orange basketball, there was a camouflage effect there. Would that be racist?
That's completely different. And you are right about one thing, though. Donald Trump is orange. 257-53. I would mistake him for actual orange.
I'd like to see his crossover. I bet it's pretty solid.
257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Carol. Carol, you're next. What do you think about this? Oh, we lost Carol.
Fair enough.
I had the little stars there. I was supposed to go to Carol next. 702. Carol, call back. 257-5396, because we would like a female's perspective on this. Let's go to Jerry. Jerry, what do you make of this?
What's up, Jerry?
Hi, boys. is, I didn't hear the comment. I didn't see the comment. But it could have been innocent. But is that any worse than old Howard Cosell calling Earl Campbell a monkey on Monday Night Football?
Well, obviously that was way over the line.
Much more egregious.
And that was more.
But even so, in Howard Cosell's defense, I think he was just drunk. But,
No, I don't.
He was just an old drunk.
I never use. Well, that's where we disagree, Jerry.
If you're drunk, it's okay. It's been proven.
Jerry, here's where I disagree with you. I don't think if you're drunk, that's an excuse. In fact, and by the way, I appreciate the call. Most people would agree with me on this. I think that when you're drunk, sometimes your true colors come out. Ask Mel Gibson how that turned out for him. I think if you're a racist and you're drunk, usually that racist person comes out. I think if you're usually a kind, gentle person, sometimes when you drink, you're a quiet drunk, you're a loving drunk. And I think a lot of people out there that are mean drunks and a lot of people out there, the angry drunks of the world, they show their character. So, no, I don't think being drunk is an excuse for what Howard Cosell said, and I don't think there's any excuse for this guy, Tim Ryan, talking about Lamar Jackson on a radio show, somehow entering his mind the color of Lamar Jackson's skin and saying because of that it's easier for him to hide the football. This guy is a moron.
Well, the problem with it is that he is diminishing Lamar Jackson's actual ability and why he won that game, but he's also kind of throwing a backhanded insult in the process, and that's the issue with what Tim Ryan did.
To me, it's not defensible. The number to call, 257-5396. Again, the number 702-257-5396. Let's go to Marge. Marge, what do you make of this?
What's up, Marge?
Hi, boys. The issue that I see here is I think there are some other players that played this game that are also black.
Last I checked, you're right. Yes.
And the same analogy is, so for white players, if the sun is really bright out, then you can't see them either. Yeah. I mean, this is ridiculous. And you're right. I mean, people's true colors come out when they're a little bit more relaxed and they're either on drugs or some alcohol has entered their system.
Right.
And for someone who's an experienced speaker on a show, what are they thinking? Or maybe he was just tired and, he wasn't thinking properly. But something was going on.
I certainly can't speak for that, but I know there are plenty of times where I'm tired and there are plenty of times where, I'm not feeling well. I don't think it's ever an excuse to say something racist on a show.
Especially in a city like San Francisco.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe in, I don't know, Birmingham, Alabama, but not in San Francisco. That's a questionable market to make a statement like that.
I just think it's a ridiculous comment. It was a stupid thing that he said. I'm okay with him being suspended, and I also would make the argument you could say that what he said is worse than this longtime NHL broadcaster, Cherry, that lost his job. So Marge, always good to hear from you, Marge. We appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Marge.
257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number 257-5396. Let's go to Sean. Sean, you are next on the Vegas Take. What do you make of all this?
What's up, Sean?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I just wanted to make a comment on the Lamar Jackson thing. That's completely ridiculous. I played Division I football. I was a free safety. You don't look at the ball. You're reading your keys. You're reading players. The ball, who has the ball, or if you can see it or not. You're not even really supposed to be looking at the ball.
Right.
It's for him to say that is that's crazy.
Do you think it's racist, Sean? Because I think it is borderline racist.
Oh, I think it's racist. Like JD was saying, he's making an excuse to diminish his ability, and that has absolutely nothing to do with it.
JD, what would you say to that? Okay, Sean, hang on the line for a second. JD, go ahead.
I totally agree with that, but I do think that in an RPO, when you've got a running offense like the Ravens have with great offensive line, you do have to kind of follow the ball. But he shouldn't have brought that up first. Because, again, the reason they lost that game is because Lamar Jackson is an unbelievable athlete, and there's a number of reasons for that. But creating that as kind of a backhanded insult as to why, we lost the game because of this, which is the way he presented it was just very, very questionable.
Sean, are you an African-American, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're the perfect person to ask this question to then. As an African-American, if you were sitting down at the table with Tim Ryan right now, and you had a chance to talk to him, as a man who played football, and you said, college football you played?
Yeah, I played college football.
Okay.
I played a little semi-pro as well.
Okay, so as a guy that played football at a very high level, sitting next to this guy, Tim Ryan, what would you say to him?
I'll just say that's ridiculous, and how can you even do you know the sport? What are you talking about? Like because you can't see the football? Like, come on! Like if you're looking for the football as a defensive player, you haven't studied your playbook, you don't know your keys, if you're looking for the ball, you're already lost. You're already out of the play.
Sean, you already sound like you might know a little bit more about football than Tony Sanchez. Are you going to be putting in your resume for the Sean, you should put your name in the hat for the UNLV football job. I would definitely support you.
Sean, last question. How do you defend an RPO then with a quarterback like Jackson?
Like a running offense like that?
Yeah.
You need somebody to key Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's hard for one guy. I mean, he's like you said, he runs a 4.3 240. It's hard to put one guy on an assignment with that type of athleticism.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he's, freaking Sean Taylor from back in the day.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to be able to guard him. You're going to have to spy him with one guy, and maybe spy him with a cornerback or maybe even a defensive lineman. So, you need he's just a hybrid player. He's a video game player. Like, he's a generational talent. You can't really, I mean, saying that his skin color has him hiding the ball, it's just ridiculous.
I agree, Sean, and that's what we're talking about. And I appreciate your phone call, and thank you for your perspective. We
thanks a lot,
that.
Sean.
Yeah, I was serious about that. He should put his name in the hat for the UNLV football coaching job. All right, I want to play this audio again. If you just missed it, we're talking about 49ers suspending radio analyst Tim Ryan for these comments about Lamar Jackson. Have a listen to this.
When his dark skin color with a dark football with a dark uniform, you could not see that thing. I mean, you literally could not see when he was in and out of the mesh point, and and that's going to mean, and you're a half step slow on.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's not about seeing, but right now we can't hear Tim Ryan on the radio because he was suspended for those comments. We're taking your phone calls on that, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. We just had a former college football player saying that, yes, it is borderline racist and completely inappropriate. We've had others that saying, well, people are overreacting. What do you say? 257-5396. Let's go to Jack. Jack, you're next on the Vegas Take. What do you make of this?
Hey, what's up, Jack?
Oh, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I think that the word racism is just being overplayed in society today. It's like the go-to word when somebody doesn't agree with something. I don't think that anybody is taking away Lamar Jackson's ability. Part of being a quarterback is I watched the Packers game this last weekend. The announcer said that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best at ball handling.
He is the best at hiding the ball.
Yeah, he hides the ball. So I don't think there was any malice. There was nothing. There was no racism intended.
Okay, let me ask you something then, Jack. We might disagree on this, but when you talk about the color of one's skin, please explain to me how that is not taking something away from their ability. Why won't you talk about how fast he is?
Yeah, because racism is hate. He wasn't hating on him. He was saying he was able to hide the ball better because of the contrast. I don't believe a professional football player, as Tim Ryan, he's retired, correct? He was a football player, could be racist. He was the minority in that locker room.
Okay, let me pull back on what you said. So you said you think racism is hate. I would say in all circumstances, racism is not hate. It just could be pure ignorance.
Well,
I think
look it up. It's when it's the. Please forgive me because I'm paraphrasing. It's when you feel above the race, when you look down on the race.
If you treat somebody different based on the color of their skin, absolutely. And I believe this is a case of that. If Lamar Jackson was white, or this comment would not have been made. Here's the point I'm trying to get at, Jack. And I understand what you're saying, but the point I'm trying to get at is this. Tim Ryan could have spoken about 50 or 60 qualities, positive qualities that Lamar Jackson had. Could have been about his athleticism. It could have been about how smart the kid is, how much he pays attention to detail, his arm, his throwing arm. It could have been a number of different things. So what does Tim Ryan decide to do? He decides to talk about the color of Lamar Jackson's skin. I believe, Jack.
The problem is he went there first.
Jack, right. Jack, I believe that is an ignorant comment, and I believe people
was ignorant, but it wasn't meant as hate or race. It was one aspect of Lamar Jackson's game. The guy's an absolute stud. I mean, we don't have to say his running ability, his throwing ability, his read.
Well, that's what Tim Ryan's job is to do. His job is
the ball was because he has a dark uniform, and maybe his large, his hand is able to obscure the ball better than if he had
But he wasn't talking. But he wasn't talking about his uniform. You know what he was talking about? The color of his skin.
He mentioned all three things. The problem is he could have said, here's 7 reasons why, and this was the 7th reason. But he basically based it all on that one reason.
Jack,
and he should know better. That's the issue. Now, am I a fan of people losing their livelihoods for offending someone else? No. But in a situation like this, it's kind of difficult.
Well, we've had these conversations before about livelihood. Yes, I do believe someone should be fired from a job if they say something racist. I do believe somebody should be fired from a job if they say something maybe more egregious than this. Now, he decided to bring up the color of Lamar Jackson's skin, completely irrelevant to the conversation.
And I will say this, if it was a Caucasian player, there would be no camouflage effect.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to defend his comments. And you know what? I'm not going to sit here and say if Lamar Jackson was light-skinned or white that he wouldn't be able to run the football as well, because we don't know that. There's no studies that are put in place that to say because Lamar Jackson is black, he runs the ball better. I think it's a ridiculous comment. There's no evidence to back that up. And you know what? There are plenty of white quarterbacks and there are plenty of white football players that are also very good at hiding the football, and they happen to be whiter than me, which is almost impossible. So, this nonsense. I'm sorry, I disagree with you, JD, and I disagree with that last caller. This was an uncalled for comment. It shouldn't have happened. He deserves to be suspended, and I guarantee you.
I would say this: if you looked up the NFL stats,
can I just finish what I was going to say?
Sure.
I guarantee you that he will never do it again.
Okay, probably not. But if you looked up the NFL stats for the top 10 of rushing quarterbacks, probably 8 out of 10 will be African American.
Absolutely. So, but that doesn't mean
so that actually just statistically, it's more an African American quarterback is more likely going to be better at running the ball than a Caucasian quarterback, especially in the NFL.
Then why are there not African Americans that play hockey then? And then look at all the African Americans that play basketball. I don't like talking about this stuff because to me it's irrelevant. Okay, it's irrelevant. If you want to talk about,
it just comes down to skill set.
Disagree with you. In hockey, the reason why not many African Americans are NHL players has nothing to do with skill and has everything to do with the fact it's a sport where you need money. Okay, basketball, you can walk on, and we got to go. But basketball, you can just walk on a court. Anybody can shoot hoops. Hockey is an elitist sport. So is tennis, and so is golf. All right, with that, we got to go. Wow. Did that hour go by fast? Holy smokes. I feel like I'm just looking at my clock. We're just starting.
That flew by.
That did. Thanks for joining us, everybody. The website is thevegastake.com. Our YouTube page, The Vegas Take, as well. Check it out, man. Tomorrow we are going to have a fun-filled, packed show, and Caleb Herring will be joining us in studio. Have a great afternoon, everybody.